Marco.
I took a full load.
Boop, boop. Wagwan. Wagwan. Wagwan, me big bomba clad, me big bunda gal. Me big batty gal. What you telling me? Well, I mean, we're back. What can you do about it? Nothing.
Thumbs up the team.
You can thumbs up the ting if you're watching. That's free to do. That's free to support. You can hit the Streamlabs link in the chat, which is the pinned comment in the chat. You can drop a super chat. Help me get some emergency lawsuit money. Yeah, I have one of my various lawsuits. I think that in light of some recent events, I will be able to deliver a death blow to one of the lawsuits against me, which if I'm able to do that, will unlock a whole new series of content that I haven't been able to make for the past few years because of the lawsuit. But I think in light of some recent events, I will be able to deliver a death blow to one of those lawsuits. So, but I mean, I got to get the money up so that I can take it back into court, and then I can do the blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, if y'all want to, you know, what can I say? It all goes back in. It all goes back into the channel in one way or another. Even if that way is just fighting the lawsuits so that I can continue to do this work, then we'll love it. Henry says Marco will be able to return to Canada like Batman taking back the city of Gotham. So true. DoorDash. That is what Burger Baron is doing. He says Marco always goes live while I work DoorDash. Love that. Dave Vaughn. I love it when Big Brother realizes the only weapon they wield is more lies. So true, Dave Vaughn. So true. What's up, everybody? Dylan Honey, Legend Gaming. File on in. Welcome on. Come on in. Welcome. Thumbs up the ting. It's free to thumbs up the ting. Only half of you have done it. It's free. It's fine. Don't worry about it. So what are we gonna watching Marco while lifting? Yes, Walt Turner. Yes. Let me turn this. Okay. So let's just get right into it. Here's what I want to talk about today. So a few days ago, I released my interview with Bridget Reed on my channel, Always Marco, on YouTube. Subscribe. This is that video. Her new book exposes every MLM discussion with author Bridget Reed. And it's about, of course, the new book, Little Bosses Everywhere, which the publisher was kind enough to send me, I think, back in December. And I was in Canada at the time. And I remember I went and picked it up from the post office like the day before I was supposed to leave Canada again. And yeah, I was like, fuck, am I going to read this? I suck at reading books, but I should probably read it. So I took it with me, Pondy plane, across the world, and it's been sitting on my nightstand. And then the publisher and Bridget emailed me again asking, do I want to do an interview about it? And I was like, yes. And then we scheduled it, and I was like, fuck, I should have finished the book before I do an interview. I don't want to give a whack interview. I want to like actually read it properly. And they wanted to do it before the release date, which was May 6th. It's out now. And I was like, okay, fuck, let me push it back so that I can actually read it. And yeah, I did read it. I read it all the way through. I enjoyed the book. I think you guys should check out the book if you're interested. Apparently there's an audiobook version, or if not, it's coming. An ebook, I don't know, Kindle, whatever. Is that still a thing, Kindle? But the really interesting thing to note is that because the book is so chock full of just objective facts, I think Bridget has done a good job of insulating herself from the risk of lawsuits that might come her way. You know, the MLM apparatus is very litigious. They like to sue. They like lawsuits, you know? So I think that, you know, not really making many opinion-based statements and just saying facts. My haircut looks so fucking good. Thank you. I did just wake up, so it's like a little, you know, if I turn my head, you're going to see like weird little bald spots, but that's That's just because I have just woken up and I still have like a bad head. Yeah, so everything in the book is factual, and I was even surprised that even though it's not very like opinionated, the book, some of the things are just objectively like, damn, I mean, this is true what you're saying, but I'm surprised still that it was said. So before the book even came out, the Direct Selling Association, which is just like, you know, the Ministry of Truth in 1984, the Direct Selling Association is the trade association that lobbies and advocates on behalf of multi-level marketing. Some of its members include Amway, ACN, Herbalife, New Skin, big names that you know and love. So, you know, in the book, there's a lot of discussion about Amway, the DeVos and Van Andel families, because of the history, Nutrilite, NutraBio, Amway coming from that, and every other MLM coming from that in sort of a web, a pyramid of pyramids, as I say. So the Direct Selling Association, the day before the book even came out, as you do, released a press release. Now, let me... What the fuck is... Show me the right thing. Here, restart capture. There we go. Here we go. Here's the thing. So, just consider this. You have a lobbying association that is, you know, that wields billions and billions and billions, that wields billions and billions of dollars, okay?
Billions and billions.
And they have been basically running a one-sided propaganda campaign for nearly the last 100 years. And I say one-sided because there's basically been no one to challenge them. Anytime somebody actually comes out to expose the big lie of multi-level marketing and all of them millions of lies wrapped up beneath that, they get sued. They get sued. They end up in court, real court.
What you were about to
not goon court.
is real.
So, I mean, take it from me. I know a thing or two about lawsuits. Been sued 3 times in the last 4 years. You'll have to see it. So the direct selling advocacy advisory. Here we go. You love how they frame it. They released a press release. Now, how did I get this? Let me just tell you. I have spies everywhere, okay? This is what I do. This is what I do. This investigative journalism, YouTube, find my way through. This is just what I do. But of course, I don't take credit for this. This is one of my spies who shan't be named, and I appreciate it. So here we go. Direct Selling Association Advocacy Advisory, May 5th, the day before the book came out. Listen to these people. DSA is aware of the May 6th release of Little Bosses Everywhere by Bridget Reed, an author whose views reflect a consistent misunderstanding of the direct selling channel. I think what I'm going to do, for the sake of time, is I'm just going to go through and read it once with no opinion, and then I'm going to go back through again and point out every single lie and usage of doublespeak in this press release. Sound good? Thumbs up the thing. Thumbs up the thing.
Thumbs up the ting.
Support the boy. You'll have to see it. Recent reviews in the Washington Post and New York Times echo the book's flawed and dismissive narrative, one built on outdated assumptions and elitist attitudes. DSA could not let this portrayal go unchallenged. We have submitted responses to the Post's and Times opinion pages to set the record straight and defend the millions of Americans who choose direct selling to support their families, pursue entrepreneurship, and find flexible economic opportunities. You'll find these letters below. We encourage you to read what we've developed and use any language you might find helpful as you wish. Response to the Washington Post. So, hold on, before I jump over to the Washington Post, let's see Washington Post, Little Bosses Everywhere. Here we go. Here's the review. Little Bosses Everywhere. Let's see first what the Washington Post said that was so incorrect, and then we'll look at what the New York Times said, okay? So I have both pulled up here. Washington Post and New York Times. Look at all these fucking ads. Okay, here we go. This is what Washington Post said. They said, They released an article about the book. It's called Why the American Fantasy Behind Multi-Level Marketing Won't Die. Nice, catchy title. In Little Bosses Everywhere, Bridget Reed looks at the enduring popularity of companies like Mary Kay and Amway for aspiring entrepreneurs. This is by Becca Rothfeld. What are we buying when we purchase a product? Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to go through this whole review. But basically, it summarizes the book. It says, once again, facts about how it was founded, how it started, how most people lose money, etc., etc. And it seems that Bridget is quoted doing some interview here. So, okay, Washington Post did a review, and it's largely positive, right? Now, New York Times. What did New York Times say? Oh, I'm going to have to use a fucking paywall. Nothing. They have a paywall. Not to worry. I know how to get around that. Here we go. Okay, here we go. New York Times says, in multi-level marketing, sleight of hand is simply the rule of doing business. So they're just letting you know deception is a part of it. Bridget Reed's book, Little Bosses Everywhere, exposes the deceptions of direct selling companies that make their profit not off customers, but off their own sales force. Yes, this is exactly the truth. This is exactly what it is. Multi-level marketing, as Doug Brooks said in my interview that I did with him in 2023 on my channel, which you can go watch. It is not a product in search of a compensation plan. It's a compensation plan in pursuit of a product. The system, the plan is already there. You can basically plug in any sort of lotions and potions product, and it's going to work. It's going to function exactly the same. Multi-level marketing companies do not have markets of customers that they sell products to. They have a group of distributors, really they are consumers, distributing to each other in a internal consumption fashion where they're all buying stuff within the closed loop of the pyramid. You buy stuff, your upline gets paid. Your downline buys stuff, you get paid. And there's, purchases made by actual real customers in the real world who are not affiliated with the business opportunity, who actually have a demand to consume your product, are virtually non-existent. Some MLM distributors might sell a pack of Herbalife, powder to their grandma or their sister because they think that, they're supporting them by doing that. But generally, there's generally no sales. As a matter of fact, there has never been any documentation that I have ever seen, nor that anyone I know has ever seen, that shows a positive net earnings verified by tax forms that show that somebody has made a net positive living simply from retailing the products in multi-level marketing. Now, you think for an industry that calls itself direct selling directly would be a big part of it. And yet these companies, many by their own admission, don't even know their own sales data. What do I mean by that? Well, in an MLM company, if you sign up as a distributor and you pay every month for new product orders, or you're on their, auto ship program, that is how the software of the company calculates your internal metrics, your PV, your BV, your TV, your OV, your personal volume, your team volume, your business volume, your organization volume, your total volume, whatever the acronyms they've decided for it are. So when you buy from the company, of course, the company would know that. They would know those numbers. They would know that data and those metrics. Oh, Marco ordered X amount of dollars this month of product. This equates to this many PV. That equates to this rank. That equates to this much in his essentially refund check. Okay, what are they missing? Well, aside from me, the distributor, buying the product, they have no idea if anyone in the real world consumed the product. They don't have any genuine customer feedback about the product. They don't know their demographics about who their customers are. They don't know what age range of people enjoy their product. They don't know what their most popular, most, highest selling product is. They don't know if the quantity needs to be adjusted, or the packaging, or the name, or the price, or the flavor. All very important metrics that companies that are really interested in sales obsess over. If Gatorade comes out with a new Gatorade flavor, you can best believe they spent a lot of money and time deciding the name, the exact shade of blue of the liquid, the exact flavor profile, the name, the shape of the bottle, the quantity of liquid within the bottle, etc. How they're going to market it, etc. Who it's tailored towards, on and on and on. These would be important things to know if you were operating a company that genuinely cared about selling products. And yet, MLM companies know none of that. So, as it says in the heading here, or the subtitle, Bridget reads Little Bosses Everywhere, exposes the deceptions of direct selling companies that make their profit not off customers, but off their own sales force. I mean, this alone, this subtext is just, a revelation that couldn't have even been made a few years ago on a website like, or on a platform like New York Times. Exposes the deceptions. True. The only instance of doublespeak still prevailing here is calling them direct selling companies. It's like in a mob movie, if you were to call the mob's operations an olive oil company or a dry cleaners. Of course, they have fronts, but that's not what they really are. So we're nearing ever closer to the truth each day. This is by Emma Goldberg. Mary Kay consultants pictured with their famous pink Cadillacs are lured to the multi-level marketing company with the promise of being their own boss. The reality is seldom as rosy as it sounds. I mean, facts. So this is another one, positive review that talks about and repeats many of the same revelations in the book, which are true facts. So here's what the Direct Selling Association said. In Becca Rothfeld's review of Bridget Reed's Little Bosses Everywhere, both writers paint a grossly inaccurate portrait of direct selling, a sector that continues to grow, alongside Americans' interest in modern economic opportunities and that employs some of the strongest consumer and seller protections across industries. Just pack as many words, fluff words in there to make yourself sound, more believable. The piece's conclusions are built on faulty assumptions. Oh, where am I going? That bear little resemblance to the direct selling industry of today. Faulty assumptions. Okay. Mind you, everything in Bridget's book is fact-checked. I flipped back and forth between the appendix of the book and the actual part I was reading. You know how when you read a book, it'll say like there'll be like an asterisk or like a number above the above a word where they're citing a source. I flipped back and forth constantly through that book. Oh, by the way, our friend Glenn makes a low-key cameo in the book. Glenn, if you're watching this, in the book, Bridget talks about the Dexter Yeager audio, where he talks about, it's from one of the old Amway Dexter Yeager audio tapes, like training tapes. And this is the speech where he says, "I'm not going to let you rape my family," talking about people who are like dream stealers and stinking thinking. He talks about, if you search on YouTube, Dexter Yeager rape my family, you'll find that video. And when I saw her quote that in the book, I was like, oh, she watched Glenn's video upload of that. And lo and behold, I flipped to the end of the book, and yes, it's on Glenn's channel called Ban Live Export, and that's one of Glenn's other channels aside from MLM is Fraud. And I was like, that's cool. Glenn got a little cameo in there. So anyways, everything in the book, I bring that up to say, everything in the book has been fact-checked. So when they say, oh, it's built on faulty assumptions that bear little resemblance to the direct selling industry of today, it's just objectively false. This is truly disinformation, what we've read so far. Anyways, let me continue. Worse, both writers demonstrate a patronizing disparagement of millions of Americans because of how they choose to earn an extra income, pursue a passion, or explore entrepreneurship. Such condescending attitudes fail to reflect the real values fueling direct sellers. My internal temperature rising as I read this. I'm just getting so fucking angry at the lies and the accuse the other of what you are doing. Here we go. Direct selling companies continually grow and evolve alongside Americans' interest in modern economic opportunities and feature strong consumer and seller protections. Already said that. Many people want to explore business ownership without facing the hurdles, costs, and risks typically associated with a startup. Direct selling provides a pathway to entrepreneurship with low initial costs, quality products, state-of-the-art supply chains, business training and workshops, community support, and e-commerce storefronts. Many of the country's well-known, loved, respected one of the country's most well-known, loved, respected, and successful consumer brands that have been part of the American fabric of business for decades, if not the better part of the 20th century, use direct selling as a means to sell their products to customers. Further, most direct selling models offer generous product guarantees. For instance, Amway offers free training and education to all aspiring Amway IBOs. If anyone is dissatisfied with an Amway purchase, the company backs its product with a full refund upon return within 6 months. Those who find direct selling meets their needs and interests do so because it provides them with a flexible, economical, protected way to generate additional income to support their families, and because the community, training, and support available to them is unmatched in other secondary income opportunities. Wow. Rothfeld and Reed may wish to denigrate Americans who earn supplemental income through non-traditional opportunities. But while Rothfeld finds it difficult to fathom why so many people take advantage of these opportunities, what direct sellers might find more confusing are the misconceptions and faulty premises that underpin these criticisms. Again, they haven't said actually one substantive thing to disprove or debunk what Bridget has claimed in the book. Reed's book may have arrived a half-century too late because it certainly does not reflect the realities of the modern direct selling industry or its key role in our modern economy. You could definitely say it arrived a half-century too late because it would have been exposing the lies of your scams a half-century earlier, which would have been excellent. And yeah, it does not reflect the realities of the modern direct selling industry. I also agree with that because the true realities are actually much worse than what you guys are arguing against, and not much better. Now they released a response to the New York Times. Response to the New York Times. Emma Goldberg's review of Little Bosses Everywhere recycles a well-worn narrative that fails to reflect the modern direct selling industry and the millions of Americans who participated in it by choice, not coercion. Also a lie. While Bridget Reed's book may read like a thriller, its storyline is rooted in outdated generalizations, like what? And ignores decades of evolution in business practices, compliance standards, and consumer protection. Like what? Today's direct selling companies offer robust product guarantees, transparent income disclosures, also a lie, extensive training, and support systems that empower individuals to explore flexible, low-cost entrepreneurial opportunities. Lie. To suggest that sellers are merely victims of a shadowy enterprise grossly underestimates their agency and dignity. It grossly underestimates how shadowy, how evil, and how criminal it is. Yes. Most do not expect riches. Lie. They seek supplemental income, community, and purpose. Lie. Painting this honest pursuit as exploitative is an affront to the values of hard work and independence that underpin it. Lie. Moreover, the assertion that direct selling is inherently political or anti-expert is a distracting overreach. Millions of Americans, nurses, veterans, teachers, caregivers, engage in direct selling for reasons as diverse as they are. What's truly outdated isn't the model. It's the patronizing assumption that those who embrace alternative income paths must be misled. That misconception is the real That misconception is the real myth worth dismantling. So, let's just take a moment. Let's just take a moment to breathe here and figure some shit out. Okay? Jelly Snack says, do they have citations for any of these statements? The book does, exactly. So, this is, obviously, of course, go thumbs up the thing.
Thumbs up the team.
This is such an insult to anyone who even knows the most basic facts about multi-level marketing. It's an insult. And I'm going to go through, using my almost flawless memory, I'm going to go through and mention some of the things that have been put out there in the world that are official facts, things that were said by the FTC, things that have been verified, things that can be disproven just with basic logic and reasoning. I'll go through each of them and, debunk, disprove, etc. First, though, our friend Robert FitzPatrick released a review of the book on Amazon, and I think that deserves some attention as well. So let's go through that. I think read that first, and then I'll go back to the DSA statement and point out every single lie that they tell in that statement or misrepresentation. What do you guys think about that? I think that works. Okay, let's do that. Here we go. This is Robert FitzPatrick's review of Little Bosses Everywhere. Here we go. The truth about multi-level marketing is becoming more marketable than its big lie. Already bars for a title. Little Bosses Everywhere, How the Pyramid Scheme Shaped America by journalist Bridget Reed is a breakthrough new book on the tragic and pervasive experience of America with multi-level marketing. MLM refers to enterprises such as Amway, Herbalife, and Mary Kay, and 1,000 other clones enrolling 18 million Americans annually and vastly more globally. As the title indicates, and the text painstakingly documents, MLM's utopian income opportunity is only a pyramid scheme. 99% of all participants lose money every year, 50% and more quit annually, only to be replaced by new hopefuls who face the same fate. The book's main significance is not its meticulously organized facts or history of MLM, nearly all of which were documented and publicized by others years before, not least of all Robert. Shout out Ponzinomics. The breakthrough is that these revelations are from an established New York-based journalist and a major publisher, Penguin Random House. For 40 years, no serious books on multi-level marketing were issued by major publishers in America, even as virtually every American household was harmed. This is not an exaggeration, by the way. Virtually every American household. If you think about the recruiting efforts of an MLM, how everyone is obsessed with recruiting every single person they see. And then you think about how many MLMs there have been. Some estimates say that there can be 1,000 in operation at a time. Some say 1,400. So it's not hard to imagine that these 18 million people in a country of 300 million people, their recruiting efforts solicit or impact every household in America. Bridget expands analysis and lifts MLM from media marginalization. She positions it centrally as an urgent bellwether, what a great word, of current American capitalism, exhibiting a grotesque new version of economics, Ponzinomics. MLM's brutal asset extraction occurs right in the home, family savings, credit, trusting relationships, talents, time, and lifelong hopes. Its favored demographic is the financially distressed, a rapidly growing segment. Selling a scam of self-employment, MLM produces millions of little bosses, guilefully directed, that means misled, to recruit their own friends and family into the trap. I'm going to sneeze. Fuck. Excuse me. Remarkably, Little Bosses follows another book that exposes MLM, also from a credentialed journalist and major publisher, Cults Like Us, Why Doomsday Thinking Drives America by Jane Borden. Both books cite my books, Ponzinomics and False Prophets. I am personally quoted in each of the new books. Flex on them, Robert. Flex on them, Robert. Get those flowers. Borden's book focuses on MLM's cult ideology of "you will see it," MLM's false income promises, when you believe it, a mind-numbing subversion of critical thinking. Little Bosses Everywhere concentrates on MLM's pyramid proposition. Bridget Reed offers a vivid portrait of how MLMs dupe millions, one vulnerable victim at a time. Reed also indulgently allowed for the view, more a false hope, that despite devastating losses and mountains of deceptive practice, maybe, just maybe, MLM might be a modern outgrowth of the old direct selling model and not a devious scam disguised as direct selling. In Ponzinomics, I showed how the invention of MLM was a complete and total break from direct selling. The first MLM Nutrilite spun off its clone, Amway, and then many other MLM clones spun off from Amway, creating today's global network of MLMs. Meanwhile, real direct selling went virtually extinct decades ago. To properly define and accurately position the MLM phenomenon, Bridget Reed wanted to historically document that all MLMs share the same pyramid parentage of Nutrilite, the atom of MLM. She focused research on how Mary Kay, one of the largest and oldest MLMs, developed as a replica of Nutrilite, yet there was no documented connection of Mary Kay to the Nutrilite Amway genealogy. Reed's dogged research removes this last straw from those resisting the terrible truth. She documents that when Mary Kay Ash, the founder of Mary Kay, launched that business in 1963, she was assisted by her husband, who happened to be a national field director for the MLM NutriBio, a huge MLM that time with direct connection to Nutrilite. Spoiler for the book. So why was this important information about MLM, its reality, not addressed by publishers during the last 40 years? Why, instead, were absurd accounts published about MLM as the vanguard of grassroots capitalism and standard bearer of the American dream? From my perspective, it is not a government-run ministry of truth. Rather, it is market-based censorship, a system even more effective than what George Orwell described. Market-based censorship is the policy of major publishers that certain authors or subjects shall not be published when the publishers, just 5 now, control 80% of the market. Decide those authors or subjects won't make them enough profit. MLM's brutal pillage of Main Street under the nose of federal regulators was classified as unprofitable. MLM's big lie stories about success and direct selling were deemed marketable. Publishers didn't deliberately suppress the truth and spread false narratives. They just responded to the market. Big Brother wears a salesman's smile. The publishing of Bridget Reed's book, along with others recently published, therefore, reflect a portentous new development for MLM and a propitious one for Main Street. The truth about MLM is becoming more marketable than its big lie.
It's an evil world we live in.
It's all about residual income.
Who could have said it better than our GOAT? Who could have said it better than our GOAT? Thumbs up the thing. Down low says, Agent Aaron Kolovsky from the Publishers Weekly says about the book, the perceptive analysis illuminates how MLM constitute an unholy alliance of grift. Readers will be rapt. Others are seeing it too. Yes, good things. Now, let's go back to the Ministry of Truth's post here, their PR, damage control post. First thing I want to point out is every time the term direct selling comes up, understand that what we're talking about is actually not direct selling, but simply these pyramid scheme cults, okay? So every time you see direct selling, replace it with pyramid scheme. DSA is aware of the May 6th release of Little Bosses Everywhere by Bridget Reed, an author whose views reflect a consistent misunderstanding of the direct selling channel. Now, as we go on, you'll see the direct selling advocacy advisory go on to call Bridget's book flawed and outdated, holding elitist attitudes, being condescending. This is a perfect example of blame the other of what you are doing. While accusing Bridget and her book of being elitist and condescending, they choose to take the elitist and condescending stance by simply saying that she has a misunderstanding. There's a consistent, this isn't a scam. You just don't understand. You just don't get it. I mean, literally, that's probably the most perfect example of condescension that you could ever muster. Okay, so Bridget Reed, an author whose views reflect a consistent misunderstanding of the direct selling channel. Again, replace direct selling with pyramid scheme, and they don't call it industry, they call it channel. Okay. Reflect a consistent misunderstanding of pyramid schemes. Think of the source that's saying this. This is Big Pyramid saying that you don't understand Big Pyramid. Recent reviews in the Washington Post and New York Times echo the book's flawed and dismissive narrative. Okay, so now you're calling into question the integrity of Washington Post and New York Times, which you have every right to do that. I definitely believe that people should question the news, especially mainstream, news sources and big monopolistic establishments that, media establishments, news establishments. But just explain why. And they don't explain why. These publications echo the book's flawed and dismissive narrative, one built on outdated assumptions and elitist attitudes. What's the outdated assumption? That 99% of people lose money? Nope, that's still present and accurate. What's the outdated assumption? That people who join MLMs never do so because they think it's going to be supplemental income, but because they think they're going to achieve all their dreams and become a millionaire? Nope, they are still doing that. Okay, what's the outdated assumption? I don't know. I can't think of any. Surely you would tell us an example, right? Tell us one example. Outdated assumptions and elitist attitudes. Yeah, it's always, it's definitely elitist to say, hey, I don't want you taking advantage. I don't want these companies taking advantage of the same demographics that the DSA advocacy advisory in this same press release later goes on to claim as, you know, people that they're helping: nurses, veterans, single mothers, etc. If saying that you don't want that group of people to lose money is elitist, well then color me elitist. Color me elitist, multi-billion-dollar lobbying organization with an office on K Street in Washington, D.C., and a direct selling caucus in Congress, and millions of dollars given to Congress people and politicians every single year to protect you, and, and endless money poured into lawsuits and, you know, settlements to bury the truth of what you do. Sure. Call someone else elitist. Sure. Okay, the progeny of Amway, the families behind whom own a literal fucking island, Peter Island. Call us elitist. Call Bridget and her book elitist. Sure. DSA could not let this portrayal go unchallenged. Well, they say that, but then they don't actually challenge it. They just offer these blanket statements. They call it flawed and dismissive, outdated, elitist. Explain why. Tell me why. There's a great quote that I always stand by. You're entitled to your opinion if you can back it up. You're entitled to your opinion if you can back it up. We have submitted responses to the post, blah, 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 opinion pages to set the record straight and defend the millions of Americans who choose direct selling to support their families, pursue entrepreneurship, and find flexible economic opportunities. Another big lie here. You'll recall, if you're always Marco, you will recall that on March 15th, 2024, Lois Greisman, the Associate Director for the Division of Marketing Practices at the Federal Trade Commission, sent letters to Joseph Mariano, who was the then CEO of the Direct Selling Association, as well as to Joe Marinello, counsel for the Direct Selling Self-Regulatory Council, where she explained that the Federal Trade Commission does not consider multi-level marketing to constitute supplemental income based on the numbers. She says that even claims that somebody could make supplemental income could be interpreted to be misleading because of how abysmal the numbers truly are. And when she asked Joe Marinello about the actual numbers of what does it mean that somebody makes supplemental income, he said some ridiculous figure like, I don't know, $200 a month. Let me find it. Joe Marinello, Lois Greisman. I know all these facts off the top of my fucking head. Lois. I have an actual copy of this document saved on my computer, so I just need to search Lois Greisman in my Finder, and I'll find it. Letter from FTC to DSSRC. Here it is. Supplemental. Here we go. When I posed the question, this is Lois Greisman's words. When I posed the question about what the phrase supplemental income means to Adolfo Franco, DSA Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, at DSA's September 2023 Legal and Regulatory Seminar, I recall he said $1,200 per year. I then responded by pointing out that such a sum translates to $100 a month and $25 a week. I am very skeptical that a potential participant would take away from a claim of modest or supplemental income that they would earn only $25 per week. There you have it. Back to this brainwashing press release. That's in response to them saying here, people choose direct selling to support their families, pursue entrepreneurship, and find flexible economic opportunities. Really? People are supporting their families with $25 a week for an untold amount of time up front and effort and money? Press X to doubt. Here we go. Then they say about the review in the Washington Post, both writers paint a grossly inaccurate portrait of direct selling. Well, calling it direct selling is actually the grossly inaccurate portrait. It's a pyramid scheme. blah, blah, blah. A sector that continues to grow alongside Americans' interest in modern economic opportunities. That's also a lie. It's not a sector that's growing. It's actually floundering. Employs some of the strongest consumer and seller protections across industries. That's also a lie, objectively, because the Direct Selling Association fought hard to implement something called the Direct Selling Self-Regulatory Council in 2019, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's their I guess excuse to real regulators like the FTC, SEC, etc., that they're going to regulate themselves. Well, if you truly understand what MLM is, it's like the mob, it's like the mafia telling you, "Don't worry, we're going to sort out the bad ones." Well, you're all fucking bad. You're all committing crime and whatever. So they're trying to take this angle that like Bridget and the reporter from Washington Post here are just like shitting on gig economy workers or whatever. But that's certainly not the case, because the book doesn't shit on like people who drive Uber, for example. That's like a gig economy sort of job, it's like a side income where it's not a traditional job, but you certainly have more protections for driving Uber than you do being in an MLM company. The most important distinction being that if you actually give someone a ride or deliver somebody their food, you will get paid. You will get paid. There's an actual, fair exchange of opportunity there. There's a voluntary contract, as Robert likes to say. There's a voluntary contract. You sign up as an Uber driver, you're going to be driving people from point A to B, and in exchange for that, their credit card or their payment method will be charged, and you'll receive money. Simple as is. Okay? In multi-level marketing, that's not the case at all. Here we go. The pieces conclusions built on faulty assumptions that bear little resemblance to the direct selling industry of today. Okay, tell us, what is one of the faulty assumptions? As a matter of fact, what is one of the assumptions at all? Nothing in this book is assumed or presumed. Everything is backed up with facts. I checked many of them. Worse, both writers demonstrate a patronizing disparagement of millions of Americans because of how they choose to earn extra income. Again, in the book, there's multiple instances of Bridget showing empathy to, I'm thinking of one specific example where she talks about taking an Uber to the Mary Kay convention in the summer of 2023, and the woman who drove her there was a black lady that drove the Uber and used to be involved in Mary Kay herself. And Bridget, it comes through very clearly in the book, in my opinion, the empathy that Bridget shows for this woman who's still out here grinding at like 60 years old, I think, if I recall the age of the woman in the book correctly. 60 years old, driving Uber, still trying to make a little extra money on the side, or maybe she's doing that full time, who knows, but the point remains, still trying to make extra money, and has already been burned by Mary Kay. It's quite the opposite. It's quite the opposite of disparaging and patronizing millions of Americans because of how they choose to earn extra income. It's the opposite. They if you want to get away with evil, you have to sell it like it's something else. It's not torture, it's enhanced interrogation. We're liberating that country. We're not fucking going in there to take their oil. Pure doublespeak. Then they try to say that, well, there's other reasons people might get into MLM. They say to earn extra income, pursue a passion, or explore entrepreneurship. What's the fucking passion there? Going up to strangers in Walmart saying, "Hey, I love those shoes"? Is that your passion? Losing money every month, spending money every month on some fucking goop, on some god-awful tasting powder or some bullshit cream that you smear on your face? Such condescending attitudes fail to reflect the real values fueling direct sellers. It's insane. Direct selling companies continually grow and evolve alongside Americans' interest. Not true at all. They've been absolutely the exact same variation of the plan for almost 100 years. They do not grow and evolve. Amway is still Amway. ACN is still ACN. New skin is still new skin. You know, USANA is still USANA. There's more names that I shouldn't say. It evolves alongside Americans' interest in modern economic opportunities and features strong consumer and seller protections. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. As a matter of fact, if you guys were, if it was so strong, you guys wouldn't be opposing every new FTC proposed rulemaking around earnings claims that threaten to regulate you out of existence. You wouldn't be pushing so hard to have your own self-regulation organization like the DSSRC. Your lies are so see-through that you can't even believe them yourself. Many people want to explore business ownership without facing the hurdles, costs, and risks typically associated with a startup. Another lie. You don't own your fucking MLM business if you join an MLM. You don't own shit. At least if you join Uber, as I said, you'll get paid for what you do. Here, you're not insured, you don't have benefits, you don't get tax documentation, you don't get paid for your time, there's no guarantee of income, you have to pay consistently to do it. It's insane. The reason that these people, the reason you don't get to explore business ownership without facing the hurdles, costs, and risks typically associated with a startup are because those things are necessary to be an owner. If you're going to own a business, you're going to have to face hurdles, costs, and risks. Of course. Does this sound too good to be true to y'all? That many people want to explore business ownership without having to do any of the things or deal with any of the things an actual business owner would have to deal with? Well, they say that direct selling provides a pathway to entrepreneurship with low initial costs, quality products, state-of-the-art supply chains, business training and workshops, community support, and e-commerce storefronts. I mean, it's not entrepreneurship. The low initial cost, even if it is true that there's a low initial cost, you can be certain that there is certainly not low follow-up costs. There will be more costs that will cost dearly for monthly trainings, for, every few months they have a big convention. You got to fly there. You got to stay in a hotel. You got to buy tickets. You got to buy tickets for your downline. There's trainings, that you have to buy. That's what I'm talking about. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. That's what the fuck I'm talking about, 5-1 Sherry. 5-1 Sherry carries it on her shoulders, man. What is y'all's excuse? Sherry carries it on her shoulders, y'all. Sherry, you are a legend. Thank you. Yeah, nice iPad. I said Sherry, not Siri, so you can turn off now. Thank you. Thank you. You are a legend. Contacts Clueless, your tank top friend, Dither, Mars, Cody Ann McGovern, Abel, Scram, Thermal, Kelly, she's the one. You guys all got gifted by 5-1 Sherry, and 5-1 Sherry also executive team leader. You love to see it. Thank you, 5-1 Sherry. Big up to you. Big up. Doing DoorDash right now while he talks about us, says Burger Baron. Yeah. Big Pyramid. It's not a phase, Mom. Okay, continuing with this. Yeah, there will be expensive follow-up costs, even if there's low initial costs. Quality products, that's debatable. I think in every instance of... this would actually be an interesting experiment to do. Go through every lotions and potions MLM that sells some sort of like skincare shampoo or like product like powder. That's what the fuck. Come on,
Sherry,
you guys.
$50 Canadian on a mission.
You guys cannot sit there and let 5-1 Sherry carry this whole cult on her back alone. That poor woman. You cannot allow it. Can't believe you've done this. You guys cannot allow... Henceforth...
What you are about to witness is real.
All of y'all.
Participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop...
All of y'all are in Goon Court right now. Fucking play with me.
Before Judge Marco in our forum, the Goon Court.
Anybody got something to say to 5-1 Sherry? Say it now or forever hold your peace. Trying to do it before you started talking again. Yeah, Sherry, don't interrupt. Come on, y'all. Sherry comes through. She works at her job. The worst fate that could ever happen to a person. You know, it's funny. In one of my more famous videos, which I'm not allowed to talk about, one of the guys in the video says, jobs are the new form of slavery because after slavery came jobs. It was such a ridiculous statement that some of the nonsense of it didn't even register at the time. But looking back, I realized, like, this motherfucker who's saying that is implying that, like, there was no jobs also during the time of slavery. Like, you get what I mean? Like, even when slavery was going on, people still had jobs. They existed at the same time. People had jobs while other people were beneficiaries of slavery or victims of slavery. It's not like there was one and then the other. After slavery came jobs. What are you talking about? The only interruptions allowed are for bags. Let them know, 5-1 Cherry. Thank you, Spec. So true. What up, Lindsay Lou? Popping in while at the JOB. The one about pregnancy had me dead. LOL. Pregnancy. Which one is that? Fuck. I'm not sure which one you mean, Mythic. Well, welcome to all the people that got gifted memberships, and congrats, and thank you, 5-1 Cherry. Maybe I need to stream more often if we're gonna get. Here, I'll make a goal. I'll make a 10 super chat goal, any amount, and I'll set a timer for 30 minutes. And if we do it, I'll stream again tomorrow. About what? I don't know, but I'll figure it out. Stream again tomorrow. It's been a long time since I've done 2 days in a row of streams, but it's Saturday now. If we do this, I'll do Sunday tomorrow as well. Sometimes you need your brain washed. So true. So true. Okay, any amount on Super Chat. Because I know some of y'all hate to use Streamlabs, which I don't know why. But any amount on Super Chat. If we get 10 of them. This might be a big mistake because I might end up this might make me end up doing a stream for $10. But that's fine. Because we have so much fun. So much fun. They love it when I stream. My haircut looks so good. Yeah, 5-1 Cherry's downline is actually crazy. 10 people. It is kind of funny. Like, I mean, there's no reward being promised back to the people at the. Well, actually, there is. Damn, hold on. But I mean, I guess you're just buying it outright. There's no like incentive to recruit people. But I mean, yeah, 5-1 Cherry recruiting those people, getting a higher rank in the cult. You know, getting recognition, getting the pin, the star pin next to her username. I mean, we're basically a pyramid scheme, how they wear the pin around, and, you know, love it. Blacksmithing notoriously only started after slavery. Interesting. Okay, let me continue. Quality products. I was going to say, before 5-1 Cherry so rudely interrupted. Just playing. Thank you, 5-1 Cherry. Quality products. Yeah, it would be an interesting experiment to go through any MLM's catalog of products that sells lotions and potions or like protein powder and actually compare the price and quantity and quality. I think I'm guessing that in every instance, you would find another brand or even like a no-name brand that was better in every category than the MLM equivalent. Better quality, better taste, better, amount per dollar, like amount per gram or whatever. State-of-the-art supply chains, also not true. As I discussed before, if you're operating an MLM, you have no idea what the actual sales are. You're only concerned about selling to your own workforce, your own distributor force. So supply chain is an afterthought. And if by supply chain they mean the MLM pyramid shape of the compensation plan and the downlines, then to also call that state of the art is nonsense as well. Business trainings, again, in order for something to be a business training, it has to be related to a business. Is deceiving people into spending money in a pyramid scheme and a brainwashing cult a business? I don't know. Workshops, same thing. Community support. Community support in my experience, the kind of community support that I see is a toxic positivity while you're in it that tells you to keep buying no matter what, keep pushing, cut out that negative naysayer and stinking thinkers out of your life. Just when you feel like you want to quit, that's when you need to keep going. Quitters never win, winners never quit. And likewise, when you leave, it's the same community support that will ostracize you and talk bad about you behind your back and say that you're a hater and revoke the previous brotherhood or sisterhood that they had proclaimed for you. And e-commerce storefronts. Well, again, it's not an innovation to have a website, okay? E-commerce storefront is kind of, it's just an empty nothing burger of a statement to say that, because again, we know how the money in MLMs are made. These companies, they don't care if if they have a virtual e-commerce storefront. Nobody's buying. There's no real customers. Who are the real customers? The people buying it or the people distributing it? Moving on, many of the country's most well-known, loved, respected, and successful consumer brands that have been part of the American fabric of business for decades, if not the better part of the 20th century, use direct selling as a means to sell their products to customers. Okay, appeal to history bias, I guess. Appeal to age bias. Appeal to age fallacy, I guess I should say. Assuming that they're talking about, Amway, right? That could be one of the companies you could plug in here. Most well-known, loved, respected, and successful. Loved and respected, sure, but by who? Loved and respected by lobbyists, by Congress people, by scammers? Of course. Successful consumer brands. Successful, they've made a lot of money, financially speaking, yes, if we're gauging success by that, but successful in terms of actually making the world a better place, providing people stuff that they actually want and doing it in an ethical, fair way? Absolutely not. Part of the American fabric of business for decades. Need I remind y'all that Enron was named the most innovative company in America by Inc. magazine 6 years in a row. Bernie Madoff has a famous video from the year before he got arrested for his decades-long Ponzi scheme, where he said, in today's regulatory environment, it's virtually impossible. It's virtually impossible to break the rules. Bernie Madoff, this is one of my favorite videos. Virtually impossible. In today's regulatory environment, it's virtually impossible to violate the rules. This is a video in 2008. Okay, this was what he said in 2008. He believed the system was designed to be very difficult to bypass. The irony of this was that at the time he said this, he was running, at that time, what was believed to be the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time, $50 billion. You can't make this shit up. Yes. Further, most direct selling models offer generous product guarantees. Means nothing. Means nothing. Oh, well, you can return it within X amount of time. Okay, great. Amway offers free training and education. Great. If anyone is dissatisfied with an Amway purchase, the company backs. Okay. So, do you think a company having a fucking refund policy for their energy drinks is an excuse for every other thing? Like, again, use the analogy of like a dry cleaner or like a restaurant that's just like a front business. Think of Los Pollos Hermanos in Breaking Bad, right? Do you think Gus Fring, when confronted with all of the evidence of him running a meth empire, would say, but if you didn't like your chicken, we'll give you a refund? It's like, we're not even talking about that, Gus. We're not even talking about like your front business. We're talking about your real business. He's like, yeah, I know, but that's how nonsense this is. Those who find direct selling meets their needs and interests do so because it provides them with a flexible, economical, protected way to generate additional income to support their families. This is an objective lie. Objective lie. Because the FTC themselves acknowledge the 99% loss rate of annual participants in MLM. So, it's just nonsense. Complete nonsense. Rothfeld and Reed may wish to denigrate Americans. Again, there's not one instance in the book of them denigrating someone for this. or of Bridget doing it, through non-traditional opportunities. They don't denigrate Americans who earn supplemental income through non-traditional opportunities. This is not a book to take swipes at gig work. It's not shitting on freelancers and contract workers and Uber drivers and food delivery service workers. This is about MLM. Rothfeld finds it difficult to fathom why so many people take advantage of these opportunities. What direct sellers might find more confusing are the misconceptions and faulty premises that underpin these criticisms. I mean, yeah, that's like great. That's like telling me that people in Scientology would be confused why others don't like Scientology. Well, they're in the fucking cult. They have the wool pulled over their eyes. Of course they don't get it. Reed's book may have arrived a half century too late because it does not reflect the realities of the modern direct selling industry. I mean, it absolutely does. To this day, all the things she points out in the book are still apt. Okay, then the New York Times, lastly. They recycle a well-worn narrative that fails to reflect the modern direct selling industry and the millions of Americans who participate in it by choice, not coercion. Again, another lie. I've said before that MLM does not constitute a choice because there is not or a voluntary contract, because if somebody doesn't know what they're buying into, then you can't point back at them and say, well, it was your choice. Do those people know when they join an MLM company what the failure rate is, or what rather the loss rate is? Do they know where in the pyramid they are? Do they know the total number of distributors? Do they understand the exponential math problem? Do they understand how if you apply the question of, would you rather have a penny doubled every day for 30 days or $1 million right now? Are they able to apply that same exponential growth image in their head to just recruit 5 people who recruit 5 people? A penny multiplying by 5 is way more than a penny being doubled. The penny being doubled, after 25 days, you have $100,000. But only 5 days later, you have over $5 million on the 30th day. Imagine if the penny is now the recruit, and the penny is not just doubling. The penny is recruiting 5 pennies who recruit 5 pennies who recruit 5 pennies. How many do you think you're going to have by the 30th day? Well, we know that by the 13th day, less than half of 30, we know that by the 13th cycle of 5 who recruit 5, you've already exceeded the population of the earth. You can't go another level. So imagine that. Imagine imagine trying to recruit 10 people. In the MLM company that I'm working on, the infiltrating a pyramid scheme video right now, that I'm nearly done with. It's been fucking 2 years. In order to become the highest rank in that company, you need 5,000 people below you. 5,000 people. Now imagine if you wanted to have 5,000 people with 5,000 people below you. We're talking like 25 million people. It's insane. Let's see. Oh yeah, so yes. You can't say that MLM is a voluntary contract because people don't have the information they need to make an informed choice. I've explained y'all the example before of if I say, hey, you want to have a glass of water? And then you drink it and you die because I poisoned it. Was that your fault because you chose to drink it? No, it's my fault. I murdered you because I left out the information that you would have needed to make an informed decision that was in your best interest. If I say, I want to drink this poison, you would have said no. And if you had said yes, you would have committed suicide. I wouldn't have murdered you. Big distinction. And in this context, it's the same thing. One is a choice to commit financial suicide. The other is somebody scamming you. And of course, we know that it's scamming. While Bridget's book may read like a thriller, its storyline is rooted in outdated generalizations. They call historical facts outdated generalizations. So okay, so they're not saying that it wasn't true. The generalization, statistics are generalizations. If you say that, don't smoke, it's bad for you. Smoking gives you cancer. it's not a reasonable response to say, well, not everyone who smokes gets cancer. Of course, not anyone who anything. Not everyone who anything. If I said don't eat couch cushion because it's bad for you, you'll die. You don't get to come back and say, well, not everyone who eats couch cushion. Of course not. Of course, everybody has that story of like some, they knew some old uncle or like grandfather who lived to be 100 even though he smoked a pack of cigarettes a day. Of course. Scanning, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for the dono, Andrew. Super chat. He says, are there any significant differences between how American MLMs operate versus their Canadian counterpart? No, there is not. There's not. There might be some difference in like what they have to disclose. There might be some difference in how much it costs to buy in, etc. But no, it's the same. So yeah, I mean, statistics are generalizations. This is something that I argue with one of my aunts. I hate arguing with her because she's very stubborn and she employs this fallacy all the time. The whataboutism, okay? I'll make a generalization which is backed up by statistics, right? And I'll say this, I couldn't even give you an example, but I'll make a generalization. She'll say, well, you can't generalize. She'll say, that's a generalization. And I say, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with me making a generalization? Generally, the shit I said is true. Yeah, well, not everyone who blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, of course, not everyone who smokes cigarettes is going to get cancer and die. That doesn't negate the statement that smoking cigarettes is bad for you. It's still true. It's still true that smoking cigarettes is bad for you, even though somebody else was able to smoke cigarettes for their whole life and they lived a long life and they were otherwise healthy. Okay, exceptions do not disprove the rule. She uses this all the time. But anyways, this is exactly what anyways, so here the Direct Selling Association says here outdated. Where the fuck is it? Outdated generalizations. Well, outdated, I guess, could just be referring to historical facts, like about how the founding of Amway and Carl Renborg and, going back like 100 years or almost 100 years. You could say that's outdated because it took place almost 100 years ago, but it's still an important part of history. And then generalizations. What generalizations that Bridget makes in the book are not still true today? The Van Andel and DeVos family still run Amway and use their infinite wealth to push American hegemony and influence lawmakers. That's still true. 99% of annual participants in MLM lose money. That's still true. MLMs have to lie and redefine words and use doublespeak in order to get away with their acts of evil. That's arguably more true now than ever. And this press release is a great example of that. Today's direct selling, blah, blah, blah. Oh, outdated generalizations, and ignores decades of evolution in business practices. I mean, evolution in business practice could just mean getting more litigious, suing people more readily as the internet exposes the cracks in their scheme and their lies. So, okay, sure, I'll give you that. Compliance standards, lie, and consumer protection, super quadruple ultra mega lie. Consumer protection from an organization that is made up of companies, 99% of whom lose money. All their participants lose money. So take Amway, 99% lost money. Take ACN, 99% lost money. Take Nu Skin, 99% lost money. These are members of the Direct Selling Association, okay? MLM companies. Collectively, they say, oh, we're providing millions of Americans an opportunity. You know what? I actually think, based on the math, there's not even 1 million Americans who fall into, if you add up the 1% of earners in all of those MLMs, it's not even 1 million people. The rest of the people that you proclaim to be giving an income opportunity to are losing money, verifiably losing money. Amazing. Today's direct selling companies offer robust product guarantees. Again, such a nonsense thing to say. Transparent income disclosures, also a lie. I was waiting to get to this one. We've broken down in videos before how MLM income disclosures are anything but transparent. Usually what they do is they give you an average earnings. Averages are misleading. They can be very easily inflated. And I've used the analogy before. If you were to take a person who made $0 and a person who made $1 million in a year, let's take a baby. A baby's annual income is $0, okay? Let's take a rich man, like always Marco, and his annual income is $1 million. Streamlabs link in the chat if you want to make this a reality. What is the average income between those two people? Well, it's $500,000. But this is misleading. It makes it look like I made way less than I actually did, and it makes the baby look like they made way more than they actually did. This is a huge benefit to you if you're running a company where you want to make it seem like the people losing money are doing better than they are, and you want to make it seem like the people making such a boatload of money are not so benefiting unfairly and disproportionately. If you wanted to make that not seem as obvious, that wealth divide, that earnings divide, this would be a great thing for you. But we see this time and again. They use averages. Extensive training, I mean, I think that's also a lie. And support systems that empower individuals. Support systems, again, could go back to the toxic positivity, cultic, groupthink system. To suggest that sellers are merely victims of a shadowy enterprise grossly underestimates their agency and dignity. Yeah, I agree. I mean, maybe shadowy isn't the right word because we know who you are. We know your names. You're out there. We know your faces. You're out there in broad daylight. We can Google you. We can look you up. We can do a stream reacting to your damage control propaganda fucking meeting like we did last week was that? Getting the access to the DSA Zoom, and now we have this access to this DSA press release. Shh. Grossly underestimates their agency and dignity. Yeah, like you care about their dignity. You parasites that literally fucking... You know, you talk about... When people talk about destroying the middle class or the destruction of the middle class, bro, I can't imagine how much better off the middle class would be faring right now if it weren't for MLM's destruction. Here we go. They say most do not expect riches. They seek supplemental income, community, and purpose. Okay. Totally anecdotal. Community and purpose, sure, maybe. I agree with that. But these people's supposed lack of purpose is exactly what MLM scammers leverage to take advantage of them. Community, okay. People maybe feel lonely. They had a death in the family. They're isolated. They're a single mom. They're a military spouse. Okay, maybe they want community. Again, this fake sense of friendship is what lures people in so often. I love that iPad. I love those shoes. Hey, girly, where did you get that? Blah, blah, blah. And supplemental income. We already went over this. Lois Greisman explicitly said in that letter that saying $1,000 a month is supplemental income. Sorry, $1,000. Sorry. $1,200 a year. So $100 a month or $25 a week. Telling someone that MLM, most, look, they say most do not expect riches. They seek supplemental income. Well, okay, out of the 99% who lose money, they're not even getting supplemental income. So what the fuck are you talking about? Even if you say most do not expect riches, they seek supplemental income. Even if we took you at your word, 99% of people in the company are not even reaching that modest claim. And also, on top of that, we know it's just a fucking lie. When you go to any of these MLM companies' trainings or seminars or big, rallies that they hold in these big convention centers and stadiums, do you think people are going up there being like, hey, I'm Barb from Michigan. I'm making an extra $50 a week and I'm really happy about that. No, it's all about people. Oh, I had nothing. Oh, now I make $1 billion every year. I have a boat. I have 10 cars. It's all about that. It's all about the riches. In my new video, you're going to see the CEO in a video, in a professionally produced company propaganda video, say, our leaders drive Lamborghinis, and they live superstar lives. There's a clear carrot being dangled of riches. Supplemental fucking income. $25 a week before expenses. Yay! You didn't even hit that. Moreover, the assertion that direct selling is inherently political or anti-expert is a distracting overreach. Wrong. It is inherently political because, I actually think that the money that MLMs put towards like lobbying and lawsuits, it's just a column on their expense sheet. They just factor it in. It's like the mob with breakage, Oh, in Scarface when he's like, we're losing 1 out of every 8 trucks of cocaine or whatever. It's like, this is breakage. This is the cost of doing business. Yeah, okay, well, the driver got picked up. We got to put some money aside for his lawyer fees. We got to, we got to let that one go. The border, they seized it. The agents seized it, but they let us go through on these other ones. I mean, it's exactly what it is. And anti-expert. It's completely anti-expert. I think Bridget mentions in the book the Direct Selling Education Foundation, DSEF. These are schools who have been given donations and grants by MLM companies and professors who have been paid to write favorable reviews of multi-level marketing as like a legitimate industry. It's complete propaganda. It's completely anti-expert. You're poisoning the well of academic research and integrity when you pay institutions, educational institutions and teachers to do your bidding and to advocate for you so that you can bolster your appeal to authority fallacy and say, well, Professor blah, blah, blah of the University of blah, 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 who's a very decorated and intelligent blah, 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 said good things about us. Great. Anyone can say anything for any reason. So because he has a PhD and he's been working at, and he's a tenured professor at the school, he's incorruptible. He can't be bought. He knows, Millions of Americans, nurses, veterans, teachers, caregivers engage in direct selling for reasons as diverse as they are. I mean, they say that there's all these diverse reasons, but a paragraph earlier they say most seek supplemental income, community, and purpose. And notice the group of people that they mention here: nurses, veterans, teachers, caregivers. These are groups of people who are infamously isolated, infamously lonely, infamously underappreciated, underpaid, taken care of, under benefited, etc. And vulnerable, which actually bolsters my point that the people who are lured into these schemes are the most vulnerable people in our society. Nurses, veterans, teachers, caregivers. I mean, why don't you go ahead and add single moms? Go ahead and add the replenishing market of kids who are graduating high school, who are 18 or about to turn 18, who are ripe prospects, who have no experience, who are wide-eyed, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to hustle, and they still believe in magical fantasies of getting rich overnight and Wolf of Wall Street and whatever, and let's take advantage of them to sell them this lie. We'll feed them the false equivalence of a real estate brokerage, and they'll be none the wiser because they have no fucking experience with an actual real estate brokerage to know that what we're saying is a complete false equivalence. And that to be a realtor, you don't have to pay every month to buy a house and recruit other realtors in order to increase your commission, who recruit other realtors in an endless chain, saturating the market and bastardizing the actual idea of selling homes to people who want to live in them. What's truly outdated isn't the model, it's the patronizing assumption that those who embrace alternative income paths must be misled. Well, that's not actually the assumption at all. Bridget says nothing bad about gig economy workers. She says nothing bad about Uber drivers. She says nothing bad about food delivery drivers. It's strictly and purely about pyramid schemes. And they say that misconception is the real myth worth dismantling. Once again, That whole press release was a big. No, I'm not. You are. Thank you for the super chat, BMO Noir. Appreciate you. Oh, Pathman Construction. Thank you for the super chat. I missed that. Thank you guys. Wishing you a wonderful Mother's Day. Thank you. Yeah, I should make some phone calls, send some texts, and you should thumbs up the ting.
Thumbs up the team. I took a full load.
Because there's 90 people watching, but only 66 thumbs ups. Execute order 66. Me pulling the knife out my back. Appreciate you. Transparent as a block of wood, exactly. May I top off your soda? Thank you. Cheers to that. Spec says, I always hit two people with the two things can be true.
Bars.
I love that. Yeah, two things can be true. It's bad to smoke cigarettes, and one guy one time lived to be 100 while smoking cigarettes every day. Tank Top Friend, welcome. You don't just get to have the membership and then never pop in. This cult demands a lot from its acolytes. Tough Leader says, if 5 people donate $5, inspires 5 more people to donate $5. Exactly. I can be a millionaire in just 9 cycles. Think about that. Think about that. Dave Vaughn says, the prolific use of them dashes and moreover suggests this is a ChatGPT crafted statement. 5-1 Cherry hacking the system and cheating, dropping multiple small super chats to try to get to the goal because for some reason super chat YouTube wants me to put a goal amount of donations, not a goal amount of money, but it does let you choose like, okay, what amount of donation is the minimum that's accepted to contribute to the goal. So I could technically like math it out that way, but yeah. Anyway, we didn't get it. Despite all the cheating attempts by 5-1 Cherry, we didn't get it. Dave Vaughn says paragraph symmetry is also a key signature as a high school teacher. Yeah, love that. High school teacher reviews propaganda press release. That'd be a good YouTube series. Yeah, it does certainly read like AI. What up, Christina? Thank you. Chris M says, hey, Marco, how do the nuh-uh and I know you are, but what am I defenses hold up in court? You might want to use their tactic. Yeah, I mean, I've experienced these tactics in court. When I hear some high-paid fucking, probably a millionaire lawyer across the room being like, Marco said this and this is factually inaccurate and this is defamatory and he's saying these mean things about it. He's saying lies so that he can make money. Mind you, the whole reason we're there is because I exposed how they lie to make money. And now here we are in court, and their accusation is, you lie to make money. Whoa. Oh, you can't hear me snapping. Me being alone. I talked to Doug Brooks recently, and Doug Brooks told me that once upon a time he sued an MLM. I might be mistaken. I think it was Consumer Byline. Anyways, I know it was one that Keith Raniere was involved in. You guys might know Keith Raniere, who had the MLM cult called Nexium, which was also like a sex cult where he was branding women. Hot take. But in my experience with MLMs, I believe that every MLM also is a sex cult to some degree because I have seen time and again the upline leaders in big MLM companies take advantage of their position and their perceived authority to their downline recruits. Usually this is a male upline to a female downline, taking advantage of their perceived status and fake wealth to take advantage sexually of girls in the company. Think of Austin Godsey. Remember Austin Godsey in IM? He had 3 different baby mamas who were in IM. 3 different bitches that he got pregnant while he was on these like tours. And now that same loser is in jail for domestic violence against his last girlfriend. So, I mean, truly a fucking piece of shit, All the accountability of a child, role playing like he's a successful fucking crypto businessman, you know? So, anyways, yes, um, Doug was telling me about suing, um, Keith Raniere's company. He had a company before Nexium called Consumer Byline, and I think that was the one that Doug sued. Maybe I can just Google that and find out. Douglas Brooks Consumer Byline. Yes, it was. Okay, I'm so smart. Consumers Byline. Oh, this is on the FTC website. Damn, March 2013. I was in high school. Federal Trade Commission. Oh, this was his comment on the cooling off regulatory rule. Okay, gotcha. Doug's been doing this for a while. I'm an attorney in private practice in Massachusetts since 1982. I've devoted a substantial portion of my practice to representing the victims of deceptive MLM schemes in cases such as Webster versus Omnitrition, Capone versus New Skin, Rhodes versus Consumer Byline, Jacobs versus Herbalife, Minton versus Herbalife. He's done a lot against Herbalife. Anyways, he told me when we were talking about that one case, he told me it went on for 12 years. 12 fucking years. I said, Doug, how is it even possible for a civil lawsuit to go on for 12 years? He said, well, every time that we would gain some ground and start to win, or it looked like we were winning, they would just change lawyers. They would withdraw their lawyer and get a new lawyer. And every time you do that, they change the claim a little bit. Every time they change the claim, you now have to do a whole new evidence gathering process to prove or disprove the new claim. So if you're being sued for, completely hypothetical example, if you're being sued for defamation, trademark infringement, copyright infringement, and harassment, hypothetical, and then you're winning, and then they change lawyers and they say, okay, we have a new lawyer now, so we need time. We need to adjourn because we need time for the new lawyer to get up to speed and familiarize himself with the facts of the case, blah, blah, blah. And also, when we come back, we're also going to accuse you of, I don't know, privacy, invasion of privacy. So now, even though we've substantiated or argued all the previous claims, now we have to do a whole new evidence gathering process for and write new arguments for the claim of privacy invasion. So, yeah, he told me this is how it this is how he told me it went on for 12 years. Now Keith Raniere is now in jail, but think about how long he was able to stave off justice. And mind you, in the time that these lawsuits are going on, these companies are operating as usual, getting more money from victims and more and more and more, scamming more and more and more. So it's like, imagine they even spent $1 million on legal fees. Well, if the company is still operating while this is going on, then it's literally a drop in the bucket. If it goes on for 3 years, 5 years, how much money do you think the company has made in that amount of time? Tens of millions? $1 billion? Who knows? So I that's why I say I truly think it's just part of their business model, part of their bottom line, you know. Me and Bridget in the interview talked about how in 2010 Amway paid like a huge settlement to settle a pyramid scheme accusation case. The fact that that's even fucking a thing is insane to me. If you accuse someone of being a pyramid scheme, that's like a criminal accusation. They shouldn't be able to just buy their way out of that. The result should just be either jail or no jail. You did it or you didn't do it. You're a criminal or you're not. We're shutting you down or we're not. The fact that you can be accused of being a fucking pyramid scheme, like for example, if someone accused me of a horrible crime, of being a murderer, I wouldn't want to just, first of all, I wouldn't want to be extorted into paying them if it wasn't true. Okay? And like the only reason I would pay them is if it was true, literally. If it wasn't true, I'd be like, fuck you, I'm not paying. That's not true. Let's go to trial and I'll prove it's not true. And fuck you, and I'll go back to living my life and be vindicated. The last thing I would want to do is pay to settle an accusation that I murdered someone. You murdered someone. Oh, well, I can't disprove that, so let me just pay you some money and not admit it either way. I mean, that looks suspicious and guilty. Likewise, if Amway, who certainly has enough money to go to court and fight the fight if they're truly innocent, why would you pay tens of millions of dollars to settle that case? If it's not true, don't settle. Take no prisoners. Fuck them. That's what I would do anyway. I'm back. Got me saying it's happened once in a while. Can be like, oh. And then after a minute, I'm like, you sure? And yeah, I'm just back. I don't know what it is. Encoding overload. It's like the only OBS and Google Chrome. Maybe it's Google Chrome taking up too much bandwidth or whatever. Anyways, I don't know what I'm talking about. Lastly, I want to let me look at the chat. I closed it on my computer because here we go. Okay. Let's see. Chat, here we go, chat. I'm a real streamer. Christina says, yep, 1,000%. I actually knew him. Damn, you knew Keith Raniere? When I was in my MLM, I was warned about the guys in the group. Yep. Unlimited timeouts. Nice. W legal system. Exactly. Dave Vaughn says, while that Brooks lawsuit was going on, Keith started Nexium. So think about how many victims could have been saved. BMO Noir is out. Fuck, we lost one. We lost one! BMO Noir, get back in here! Just refresh the stream. It'll be fine. There's over 100 viewers. It'll stabilize. Me, Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2. It'll soon stabilize. Refresh it. Refresh. We're good. Everything's fine. It's fine. It's good. It's fine. It's always been fine. We're gonna be good. Don't worry, everyone. Mommy's here. Mommy's here to take care of us. It's good now. It's good now. Okay. I want to read this. This was released May 6th, so last week. This is from Pyramid Scheme Alert. This is Robert's website. Robert published this. MLM champion, Dr. Lasdwun N loses, condemns labeling MLM as cult. So, this is a character that Robert has created called Dr. Lasdwun Luzes, as in last one in loses. You see what he did there? Here we go. Unverified report. This is satirical. The country's most ardent advocate for multi-level marketing, Dr. Lasdwun Luzes, has condemned a recently published slide presentation on YouTube by Robert FitzPatrick that identifies and defines multi-level marketing as the world's largest and least examined cult movement. So, this is Robert writing as a pyramid scheme defender against himself. This is Robert as Dr. Lasdwun N loses, writing a hit piece about Robert. Dr. Lasdwun Luzes is a sought-after consultant to MLM companies and traders of cryptocurrencies. He is the author of the provocative booklet In Defense of the Pyramid Scheme. Now, this is how much of a fucking legend Robert is. He literally actually published a book called In Defense of the Pyramid Scheme, and there's a Kindle book of it. He literally published ebook. He literally published an ebook called In Defense of the Pyramid Scheme on Amazon. Dr. blah, blah, blah. His views and his biography are posted on the Federal Trade Commission website. Is this just going to take me to the homepage? Okay. Dr. Luzes argues that the Federal Trade Commission's support and endorsement of MLM rule out the cult. Sorry. Dr. Luzes argues that the Federal Trade Commission's support and endorsement of MLM rule out the cult identity. Real business cannot be a cult, Dr. Luzes declared. The Federal Trade Commission defines MLM as legitimate direct selling. Consumers should trust the FTC. Case closed. In particular, Dr. Luzes referred to the address given by the former director of the Consumer Protection Bureau, Andrew Smith, to the Direct Selling Association, in which Mr. Smith said, I was just asked immediately prior to this talk whether the FTC has changed its position on multi-level marketing. The answer is an emphatic no. That multi-level marketing continues to be legal, that there's nothing inherently unlawful about the direct selling model. I personally think that multi-level marketing can be superior in many ways to traditional retailing. How could MLM be a cult? Dr. Luzes asks rhetorically, when the director of consumer protection said MLM is inherently lawful and is a legitimate sales model. Further, Dr. Luzes said that what FitzPatrick and others call MLM's coercive control in MLM is highly successful sales and marketing. Dr. Luzes also reiterated his view that the 99% loss rate among MLM participants is consistent with the wealth and income disparity of the country at large, and that MLM's endless chain income proposition perfectly mirrors the quest for the American dream today. Of course, this is not true. But yeah, it's quite funny that he has this. Trolling to epic levels, yep. Javier, thank you. Bam, what up? Joseph, what up? Oh, we lost a bunch of people. We lost so many. We lost like 35 people, 30 people after the lag. Woo! Anyways, that's all I really wanted to go through with y'all today. I mean, we're on a roll. Last week, this week we're responding to DSA cult propaganda. Last week we responded to Robert's presentation about how MLMs are truly cults. And 2 weeks ago, I did the stream with exposing the secret DSA meeting. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, dude. I mean, that's all I really got for today. What do y'all want? What do you want from me? I mean, we can chill. We can hang out, but I really am on a roll with this new infiltrating a pyramid scheme video, and I want to get it out. If I can get it out this month, bro, that's my goal. So, you know, I need to. Yeah, I need to get it out. So I can stay on here, I can get to work. And I say we get to work. So, you know, talk to y'all soon. Talk to y'all soon, man. Appreciate y'all, man. We'll see you again. It's been a long day without you, my friend. And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. They don't make characters like Mrs. Incredible no more. Which you'll find out. All right, y'all. Peace out.